For the first time ever, I am thrilled to say we have an official sponsor for the Dirt Talk podcast, and that's Ariat. I've worn Ariat boots on every job site I've visited over the years, traveling in them across 5 continents. More importantly, I have yet to find a single project where working folks, unlike me, are not wearing Ariat boots and workwear in every condition imaginable. And there's really good reason for that, and that's because it's phenomenal stuff. And the more I've learned about Ariat and the company, the more I've loved their brand. So with this, Ariat is offering any Dirt Talk listener 10% off their next Ariat order at ariat.com/dirttalk. That's 10% off boots, jeans, and workwear at ariat.com/dirttalk or at the link in this episode's description. With that, let's get to the show. Hi there, everybody. This is another Dirt Talk Monday episode, and today we're going to be getting into some more of your questions submitted on Instagram or via the email dirttalk@buildwitt.com. If you have anything you're curious about, send it in and we will potentially get to it. With that, Harrison, question number 1.
All right, let's go. So you just got back from Australia. I'm going to date the episode a little bit.
I did.
How do you rate Australian mining compared to American mining?
Australian mining is spectacular. I have visited maybe 10 Australian mines now, mostly coal, some thermal, some steel. Went to an iron ore mine. I feel like maybe there's other mining in the mix as well. Hopefully next time we'll potentially see some uranium. I know there's a diamond mine that could be pretty cool. And then gold is the other really, really big product out there. I would say Australian mining is best in class worldwide. It's absolutely spectacular, this stuff. I would put it up there next to the Chileans and how the Chileans do mining. I think it's best in class too. I think the biggest difference between Australian or Chilean mining versus American mining is that mining in Australia is a significant part of the Australian economy. And so it is just taken more seriously. And I don't say that to belittle American mining, but I feel like American mining is almost like viewed as a burden on society, whereas Australian mining is a way of life and everybody knows most everybody knows it's essential to make the Australian economy run, essential to make the Chilean economy run. There's a lot of economies built largely on mining, and Australia is certainly one of them. Their minerals are used throughout the world, and we in the United States are extremely dependent upon Australia, especially for iron ore and for coal. So with that, I think the training standards are a lot more substantial. The living standards are more substantial, I would say. The safety standards are more substantial. The equipment standards are more substantial. Everything is just at the next level. And there are some mines in the United States that this mine is world class versus this mine is complete opposite side of the spectrum. In Australia, at least all the big mines from what I've seen are of a similar caliber. It is serious business. They are there to shift some material, make some money, do it in a very environmentally sound manner, in a very health and safety conscious manner, in a very community focused manner. And so I don't think the United States is all that far behind, but I would say big picture, Australia is certainly out in front. I think they have some of the best mining operations in the world.
And you think they're like number 1?
I would say they're best in class. I don't know who number 1 is. I don't know if there isn't a number 1, but I would say best in class. Again, next to what I've seen with Chile, maybe some of Europe, although mining's not really big in Europe nowadays. But Australia, I think, is leading the way when it comes to producing minerals from the earth.
Nice. And
Yeah.
you've been to a mine in America recently with a camp and stuff.
Yeah, and again, I'm not saying anything negative about American mining. It's just a different way of life out there. Yeah, we've been to remote mines in the United States, but there's nothing like fly in, fly out in Australia. You show up, you go to the terminal that is for the mining companies. You get on a plane. Everybody's in the exact same shirts with different logos on them. Everybody has their name on it. Everybody has a different mining company logo on it. They all get on the planes. They go out there for a week. They work, or 2 weeks. They work, and then they fly back. So a lot of it's remote. A lot of it's fly in, fly out. A lot of it's just a lifestyle, a way of life.
Yeah.
And that's another interesting thing is, in the United States, people in mining are in remote areas, living in those remote areas. And so people in the cities don't necessarily interact with those people. But up in Queensland, the coal mining, for example, a lot of people live in Brisbane and the Gold Coast, in Mackay, in the different cities up there. And so I think even if you're not in mining, you're interacting with people in mining. And so it's just more present, or you at least know somebody in mining. It's a much smaller population with a bigger percentage of that population working in mining. Therefore, most everybody has some sort of interaction with the mining industry.
Yeah. I think most Americans kind of think, well, we don't need that. We do other things.
Yeah, we don't do mining anymore.
Yeah, you even got that before where
you just don't do it anymore.
Oh, we don't, we still do that?
Yeah. Where in Australia, it's very well known that mining's a big deal, and like in a place like Chile or Peru, mining's a really big deal because it drives the economy. Even Canada, like Alberta, there's no secret that mining oil and gas is a really big deal.
So are these flights to their, I guess, private airport? How are those airports?
I mean, it's an airstrip.
It's
not an airport. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's no. It's not.
It's just
it's not a big terminal, baggage claim, none of that. It's just an airstrip.
So what do these people's commutes look like? Is it just a couple hour flight and then?
Yeah, typically the one we were on was less than 2 hours, and so you fly in, and then the airstrip is right next to the camp, so it's just a short drive to the camp, and then the camp is right next to the mine, so then it's just a short drive to the mine. So there's no commuting other than flying in, flying out every week, and then you're only working every other week.
Yeah.
So you're technically working only half the weeks of the year. What is that, 26 weeks? But then you also have 4 weeks leave minimum. So you're only technically working then 22 weeks a year out of 52.
Not bad.
No, not bad at all.
Not bad. And the camps looked really nice.
Yeah, it depends on the mine. I've heard some camps are definitely better than others.
Yeah.
The one we went to with Rio Tinto, spotless. The food was amazing. The accommodations was fantastic. The gym was sick. Everything about it, other than the flies, was
good.
Super cool. Yeah.
Yeah. What's up with the flies? Do they just have
It's just, I guess, what happens in the Pilbara. Yeah, when certain seasons, the flies just get super, super bad. It's insane how many there are.
They're just like black flies or something?
Yeah, they're just little flies.
Yeah.
But they're, I mean, you walk outside. If we were to walk outside right now, you'd have 250 of them on you in a minute. It's crazy how fast they find you.
Well, we're infested with our own bugs right now.
It's not even
close.
It's not even remote. It isn't. It was the craziest I've ever seen it. From a bug standpoint, you just could not. You could not think about the bugs all the time. You couldn't stand outside. It was that bad. You could not stand outside and expect any kind of enjoyable situation.
Well, good news is most of those dudes probably don't want to be outside after their shift.
No,
they're probably
no,
just I just want to watch Netflix and
you just want to go to bed.
Yeah. Boom. Well, I think that kind of nails it down. American mining still great. Australian mine.
Some American mining is. Some is pretty depressing, honestly.
Yeah,
and a lot of that's driven by regulations. Yeah, I've been to mines that it's this is actually a pretty good deal, and I've been to mines where it's no one wants to be here, and this is a miserable, miserable, miserable place. And I'm trying to just acknowledge the reality of either side. It's like, yeah, we want people to be in mining, but we just want them to accept the reality that is the current state of the mining industry right now. It's like, no. We're not going to accept any responsibility and ask ourselves what we need to change. We're just going to, they just need to accept that this is how it is. It's like, well, yeah, okay. Some of the things are what they are. Like the hours are going to be long, or the schedule, it's going to be nights, weekends, days. It runs on a 24-hour basis. Yeah, it is going to be remote. Yeah, maybe some of the equipment's not going to be brand new. You know, there are constraints, but at the same time, I do think mining companies in the States need to really rethink the career that is mining, because without a legitimate facelift, there's no amount of storytelling we'll be able to do to make it an appealing career. I think it's a great career, but I also don't want to pretend like it's completely perfect and it's just the young people's problem. Nothing more than that.
Yeah. And so, I mean, how do we remedy that?
That's the question. That's the question.
We'll find out in the next few years. But yeah, I think we kind of beat that one into the ground.
Yeah.
Australia's pretty good at what they do. Where do you see Buildwitt going? How do we help, I guess, in this?
Buildwitt began as me with a camera taking pictures to get the word out about the construction industry, about the dirt world that we now refer to it as. Then it grew into a marketing business. We have that marketing business today. It's Buildwitt Creative, storytelling, websites, all kinds of great marketing work for construction, mining, service providers to the dirt world. Then we got into training. That's our Buildwitt training product, primarily geared towards civil construction right now, how to use a pipe saw, how to inspect an excavator, what a scraper is, and how to use the cutting edge properly, how to lead, how to communicate, how to talk to somebody struggling mentally, how to take care of your physical health, all kinds of video-based education. And that's been going really well. We're adding so many new features onto that. And I think by the end of this year, we're going to have a really, really nice product to help companies invest in their people and to help individuals invest in themselves. And then we have the area at Dirt World Summit and then some of the Dirt World workshops to help people, leaders, in a more hands-on way, elevate themselves as leaders and elevate themselves as individuals, human beings. So that's the state of the business today. That's how we make money. The podcast, the YouTube videos, my social media, all of that's really marketing for the greater business. The real future of the business, the most significant piece going forward, it all works together. We need it all to make sense, but the most significant piece is that software component. I think future state, it's exciting where Buildwitt is today. We have over 60 full-time people now. We're doing well financially for the first time in a long time. We've been able to raise some investment, which I've talked about a little bit in the past, from construction companies, Caterpillar dealers in the industry, which is really exciting. We're flying all over the world, like Australia, like Europe, this and that. Our access is amazing. The companies we're working with are best in class. We're expecting over 1,000 people to attend to this year's Ariat Dirt World Summit. We have Ariat now as a sponsor of this podcast, which is crazy. There's all these cool things happening, and everybody says, "Wow, good for you. You've really done it." And I'm just like, well, yeah, we've done something. And I think we have gotten the conversation started, but the problems or the challenges that we're looking at persist. The labor market gets tighter, the demand for infrastructure gets bigger, the demand for materials gets bigger. So we have an increasing demand, a decreasing supply. The industry is going to continue to be squeezed as time goes on. And I think Buildwitt can help the industry get to that next. Whatever's next. It's not so much that we're looking at what the past of the industry's been or even where the dirt world is today. We're focused on where it's going and how we can help companies get there. And so I think future state, I think we can be the most influential business in the industry. I don't think we'll ever have the most revenue. A Caterpillar with tens of billions will always have us probably beat, or a Kiewit or Bechtel or some of the bigger names, Trimble. But I think we can be the most influential. I think we can be the one business that's really bringing the industry together. The one business that's at scale, sharing what others are doing, and connecting people and drawing new people into the industry and educating them and placing them with great businesses. I think we can be that one business group of people helping the industry from a lot of different facets. So I think we can be right in the middle. I've said this for 5 years now, I want Buildwitt to be the most influential business in the dirt world. We are far from being that today.
Yeah.
I think we have a good start, a good foundation, but I think the next few years are where it's really going to start to come together. And this year, to give people a glimpse behind the curtain, we're really focused on, as a business, building the foundation is what we've referred to it as this year. So what kind of systems do we need in place? What kind of leaders do we need? What do our departments look like? How do we organize ourselves? How do we run our meetings? What accounting system do we need? How do we budget more effectively? How do we measure profitability a little bit better? How do we become more financially sound and generate more profit so we can reinvest in our business even further? How do we make our product stickier so that users are coming back to it consistently? How do we implement our software better? How do we tell better stories and be more creative? How can we hold not just the best Area Dirt World Summit, but the best event this industry has available, period? That's where we're at this year. And it's not without its challenges. I want to bash my head against the wall most days. But we're making really good progress. I haven't been this excited in many years, and the future is really going to look cool. I think people, I've been telling people, we had new people coming in, new hires coming in last week, and during our onboarding, I was like, I feel like I tell new hires this every time we do onboarding, once or twice a month. It's like, you all are coming in at the best time possible to come into this business, because we've learned more lessons, more time has elapsed, and I have an appreciation for just how long some things take to bake. It's taken us a few years to learn how to operate as a business. And now these new people are coming in and as beneficiaries of those lessons. And then we'll learn more lessons over the next few months and this next year. And then the new people from there will be the beneficiaries of those lessons. And it'll just go until we're working in some degree with every single company and impacting every single individual in this industry one way or another. I don't care how we're doing it with everybody, but we will at some point do it with everybody.
Yeah. And I think every time from here on out, a new employee comes in will probably be the best time. Because I feel like what you've done and the company has done this year is sort of the price of admission. But then
we'll just get to that next level and we'll have a whole new set of challenges, and then a whole new set of challenges, and then a whole new set. It's just a moving goalpost every time. But in hindsight, the past few years haven't been fun. But the way my father's always done things is he always says, if it's Christmas, this is the best Christmas ever.
Mm-hmm.
And he really genuinely believes it. And I've almost, in a way, actually I have adopted that mindset of this week right now is the best week ever at Buildwitt. The best week ever. And it might not be like at face value on paper the best week ever. It might fucking suck. Like it just might be, some days might be a grind and you're just sitting around waiting to be kicked in the nuts again. Just, all right, let's have it. What's coming next? But I think it's an overall mindset. It's like, these are I want bigger problems to solve, bigger challenges. I want to be worried about, a few years ago, I was worried about, a $10,000 problem was a big problem. And then, $100,000 problem was a really big problem. Now it's like we're moving into, $1 million problems. That's a really big problem. And then I want to go further and further and further. But every week is a new opportunity to learn something, to better serve the industry, to get better, to for me as a leader to grow, to learn this lesson, that lesson. I don't know what it is, but every week's a new opportunity for us.
Yeah.
So that's where business Buildwitt's going.
Yeah. And the lessons that are being learned are for the industry. It's for it. We have to learn these lessons so that you don't have to, so that we can.
No, I want to be careful with that because
we can just cut that.
No. It's fine. I think one of our values, our newer values, is we're the stagehands, not the stars.
Yeah.
And we're not smarter than anybody else here. We'll never understand how to build a road better than any contractor building roads out there. We'll never understand equipment better. We'll never understand blue collar workers better. We'll never understand any of that. We're just in a unique position because we're not building roads, because we're not selling equipment, because we're not servicing the industry in one particular way. We're just here to help people get to that next level, no matter where they are. And so that's where we are. It's we're learning our own lessons. Some of them apply to a contractor, some of them don't.
Yeah.
But we're learning all of these lessons so that we can be in the best position possible to observe the industry more than anybody else in a very unique way, and then help share those things and lessons with everybody so that everybody can benefit.
Yeah, I see.
It's a unique position that we're in.
It's just a different tool that people will use at a different time in their business.
Yeah, and it's something a contractor can't do because a contractor is building stuff and bidding work against other contractors. So by definition, they can't do what I do and go, if there's two contractors in an area, contractor A, contractor B, contractor A can't really talk to contractor B about their business. I can go hang out with contractor A one day, hang out with contractor B the next day. Learn everything I can about their business. Ask any question. Absorb it all. And then synthesize. Okay, all right. Here's what both contractor A and B are struggling with. And here's one thing B's done well. And I'm distilling it down to just two things here. It's not just two data sets. But here's one thing B is doing really well that A could implement. And here's something A can implement A's doing well that B can implement.
Yeah.
And if they both get better, A and B, now they're elevating their entire market. And so now they're able to build better work for their customers while making more money, making a greater profit margin, which gives them more money to invest in their people, in wages, in equipment, in training, in benefits, whatever that is, which then elevates their workforce, which then leads them to build better infrastructure.
Yeah.
So that's the simplest way I can explain it.
Yeah, I hear a lot of stuff like unrelated, but it's like the service industry sucks to work in. Like people are like, oh yeah, it sucks to work in restaurants, but it's like you just pay your dues or whatever. No one wants to work in an industry that's like shitty. No, I mean people do, but it's just way more fun to work in an environment that like that you're taken care of and you also have something meaningful to do.
Yeah,
I think that's where a lot of people are lost today and why a lot of people have such a grim outlook on the job market.
A grim outlook on life.
They
just have this dark cloud following them around. And I'm in a position and I'm so thankful for it, but I've also worked for it. I'm stoked for Mondays. Like today's Monday.
Yeah.
Sunday night, I'm just drooling over another opportunity to just fucking give her. Like that's what we're doing is Monday. All right, let's go. Like let's let's go. Let's do as much as we can this week. We have another opportunity, another day to give it a shot. I love that. And again, not every Monday is fun. Like I'm not having fun every day. Like, oh yeah, it's nothing but bliss around here. A lot of it is completely miserable and crushing. But I love it because I know I'm making an impact, working with people I care about, creating real value in the world, pushing myself as an individual, learning, growing. And there's a lot of people that aren't in that position, which sucks. And so the more people we can help get into that position, the better off we'll be.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel that. It's almost relieving to come back on Monday because you're like, oh, God, I can get shit done now.
Yeah.
Because I force myself on weekends to take that time.
I don't.
Yeah. Not everyone does, but
Saturday and Sunday, baby. Perfectly good work days. My favorite work days.
Cool. Well, I think that's kind of a good segue to the next question.
What's my favorite day to work? Sunday.
The
Lord's Day.
No, it's I think it's kind of on a good note. What's the best life decision you've made? And it seems like we just answered this one. Maybe not. Could be something else.
The best life decision I've made is probably to chase something that I find very interesting. I was never supposed to get into construction. If you look at my upbringing on paper, through the time I was 18 years old, nothing on that piece of paper would say for sure construction, for sure, without a doubt. None of that. But I had always gravitated towards heavy equipment. I don't know why. I don't have, it's this. And it's like, I say, I had my 6th birthday at the Caterpillar dealer and that's what got it going, or this got it going. That I don't know what it was. I have no idea. All I know is that when I see heavy equipment, I just get physically, it's legitimate excitement, like legitimate curiosity. It's like an emotional response. And I just can't help it. It's just how it is. So when that project popped up in my neighborhood as an 18-year-old, I'm just grateful that I had the ounce of ambition necessary to call that company up and ask for a shot. And then when told no, call that company up again months later and ask for a shot and not take no as an answer. And then I'm grateful I didn't give up that first year, because I should have, based on just how miserable it was and how ill-equipped I was to handle that misery. Not that it's any harder than anybody else's construction job out there, but it was on the edge of what I could handle. And you could call me soft. Oh, you're fucking soft. You couldn't work in construction. It's like, yeah, I was soft. I'm still soft. I didn't grow up in a blue collar setting. So you can't fault me for not having calluses on my hands when I never needed calluses on my hand. That wasn't the world I was brought up in. And so sue me. That's the world I was brought up in. My dad was a lawyer. Sue me. And then I'm just glad, so grateful that I then chased that curiosity and excitement.
Yeah.
From that first year on a pipe crew to that second year on a different company, different pipe crew, to that third year working on the railroad for a big international company, to that fourth year doing blasting way far away from home for another big reputable company, while in school working 25 hours a week, estimating and doing takeoffs and reading plans and trying to figure out how we built stuff and reading through specifications, all while trying to pass engineering school. I'm just grateful that I I had enough of an inkling regarding what excited me, and then enough intuition to chase that when I really shouldn't have. So everybody's like, oh, this has been so easy for you. You always knew you'd be in construction. Like, no, none of this has been easy. Like I've still had to do the work. Like going from me with a $2,500 camera to employing 60 people. That's not an easy proposition. And I want to go way beyond that. There's nothing easy about it. But I'm grateful. I just kept in it. Chase. So I would say that's my best life decision, quote unquote. I've listened to what really excites me as an individual, what's made me curious as an individual, and I've relentlessly explored that curiosity, and I am exploring it more today than ever before. How things are built, who builds these things, why do they build these things, and just really understand this. I've just fallen in love with the world that is the dirt world, and now I am just like at a different level of obsession. I am just obsessed, just fucking obsessed with this world, and I want to spend all of my hours in it, and I want to learn everything there is to know about it. And I know that's a fruitless endeavor, or a silly endeavor, because it's impossible to learn everything there is to know about it. And that's what makes it so great. It is so dynamic, so complex, and yet so simple at the end of the day. So I would say that's, really big picture, best life decision is listening to what gets me going, and then just relentlessly chasing that, even when everything says, just fucking stop. What are you doing? This is stupid. There are 100 easier, simpler options for you.
Well, and part of that, following your passion like that.
It's not passion.
Not passion.
No.
Well,
I didn't say passion once deliberately, because no, and you're not wrong. I just think that discourages a lot of people, because there's a lot of people that sit there and say, well, I don't know what I'm passionate about. Mm-hmm. And they're right. Like, yeah, I get that. When I started in construction, I wasn't passionate about construction. I wasn't passionate about getting in the ditch every day and laying pipe, sweating my ass off. Like, none of that was passion. It was just applying myself to something that I was curious about, to something that got me going just a little bit, to something that I was actually good at naturally and could naturally understand, versus engineering school, which I honestly could not and still cannot understand. Yeah. And then exploring it and trying and failing and iterating. I think a lot of people, they look at where I'm at, and you've always known, so it's been easy for you. Yeah. Oh, it just hit you like a fucking lightning bolt. It's like, no. It's been a very iterative process. You try something. Okay, I like this. This is a positive response. I'm going to go further in this direction. You do this other thing. No, this is terrible. I'm not going to go do this. And I've tried to iterate as fast as possible. So I've spent my 20s iterating cramming as much information in as I possibly can to learn as much as I can about myself and what I'm capable of, and to teach myself as many lessons as I can, to then just refine it more and more and more and more. So right now, I am really focused on what I'm naturally good at and what naturally excites me and what I'm naturally curious about. But I only got there by fucking a lot of things up, by trial and error, by making just a long list of just really embarrassing mistakes and decisions, and going off in this direction when I should have never been in that direction to begin with. Like, but ultimately still just listening.
Understanding that you're on a path.
Yeah. And so, like, a lot of people say, well, you just follow your passion. It's like, that doesn't, what the fuck does that mean? And I even I'm like, if someone would have given me that advice at 17,
What do you do with that?
What do you do with that? What is that even? That's not helpful. That's not.
Yeah.
What? And then it's a lot of people. You see it on the internet all the, and I'm not sitting here saying like, Harrison, you shouldn't say that, you dummy. Like that's just you were repeating.
This is the exact point I was kind of about to make.
Well, you're repeating, and yeah, I'm hijacking it here, but you're repeating like the cliche in life that is follow your passion. But
yeah,
everybody that says that is not passionate about a single fucking thing. It's like you work at a bank. Like you're gonna tell me that you just like that's your passion. That's it. Like so you just if you follow your passion, if you do what you love, you never work in a day of your life. Like no, that's dog shit. I think the people that are focused on what they love are the ones oftentimes working and toiling away the hardest because they're just obsessed to that next degree.
I see it all the time.
Yeah, and especially in music or something like that. So anyway, yeah, I'm trying to be really careful with avoiding the whole passion thing because I think it's terrible advice.
If you live, and especially if you haven't grown up in the environment and you live your whole life like, I'm going to be a hoe-hand at a massive mining site. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. It becomes really frustrating when your path skews from that. And I think a lot of people get wrapped up in that frustration of, no, I have to do my passion for a living. Otherwise, my life is going to lack meaning.
That I see a lot of people, trying to make what they really love into like a business for themselves when they probably shouldn't be in business. It's not in their best interest. And it just ends up ruining what they really love to do. So there's that.
Yeah.
And then I also see, again, just a lot of people in their 20s in almost like this depression because everybody's saying, oh, you should just follow your passion. And then they go on social media and it's like, oh yeah, everybody's just like a fucking food influencer or travel influencer or oh my God, they're all so happy and like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I find my passion? Why can't I find, why aren't I passionate about something? Like what am I just dead inside? And it's like, no, most of that you're looking at is horseshit anyway. But, it's in some degree within everybody. And it's like, maybe you're passionate about, quote unquote, passionate about horses, but you're really good with numbers and accounting. And you develop a phenomenal career within accounting that is then able to generate enough income to buy yourself a beautiful horse and a stable and give yourself the freedom to go riding on the weekends in beautiful places. Like, what's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. No. That's a great way to live.
No, it's something I've been figuring out a lot more recently. Like, I love music and I have a quote unquote passion for music. And I tried so hard for years to, this is the only thing I'm going to do. I'm going to be a session musician or something. And then I figured out that buying, and I still am very passionate about audio, but then I figured out buying audio gear is extremely expensive.
Yeah, and it's a hard way of life,
and it's a really hard way of life. And I might not be as happy trying to toil away and really be like in like a music studio or on a soundstage, but now I've kind of changed my perspective to find like that there's something that does excite you in everything. I'm lucky enough to still have the audio piece.
Yeah, you're able to apply your skill set.
Yeah.
You're still able to play music on the side, but then now it's like you have a consistent income.
Yeah.
And now you can go buy a house. And now, and not have to stress about, well, like, what if this gig falls through next week? Or what if I don't get the next thing or whatever it is?
And some people can just follow that. But like snowboarding. I used to snowboard. I'm like, this is what I'm going to do. And I'm like, wait, now I can actually just go ahead and just do that. And I don't have to worry about being like a fucking pro at it.
Yeah.
So, sorry, that was a long-winded
No, that was
question.
good.
It comes into,
That was good. This is stuff I get fired up about.
yeah. So on the flip side, we've made some good decisions now, but what is your worst business decision in the last 3 years? That's pretty specific.
The worst business decision I've made in the past 3 years is not necessarily I signed this document, which then XYZ. It's kind of bigger picture. It's not necessarily like a firm decision. It's more of a mindset. I thought I knew what I was doing. I thought I was good, is I would say the biggest mistake I've made over the past few years is I thought I was good. And I've personally eaten a lot of humble pie over the past 2 years as a result of that mindset.
No shit.
Thinking I knew what I was doing and thinking that, I am Mr. Businessman and, I do have this dirt world thing figured out. And, this workforce thing, it's actually not that complicated. We just need to do X, Y, Z. And, if we can just do this software over here, we're going to make a ton of money and it's easy. It's easy. And and the worst part about it was that I thought I was still being humble along the way, but it was false humility. I genuinely believed that I knew what I was doing. When were we still doing some good things? Yeah. Are we still here as a result? Yeah. But it nearly killed the business. It nearly took a lot of people out and their families out. It nearly took our mission out. It nearly took everything out in the process. And it's thank goodness that didn't happen. And thank goodness we're in the position we are today. And I'm not going to make that mistake again. But man, have I learned the genuine value in really understanding, or at least to the degree I do now, which is much more than I did in the past, that what I don't know. And the more I've learned, the further I get into the whole business thing, the more I respect the fact that there will always be more and more and more and more that I do not know, that I am not good at, that I do not have figured out. And I can't lose sight of that. And now that's not to say through this whole process, I've still built a significant amount of confidence. I'm probably more confident in who I am as an individual today than I ever have been, which is the goal. I think you ultimately want to be more and more and more confident.
Yeah.
I don't know if it goes like that in a linear fashion, but that's at least the goal. That's what we strive for as people, or at least hopefully strive for as people. So I feel really confident, but ironically, part of that confidence is in knowing that I don't know a lot of what I thought I knew, and that I really had things figured out. And that in knowing that I don't have a lot of things figured out, which is it's somewhat ironic and not what you would think, but that's been great. And I'm 29. I'm going into my 30s next year. Still have a ways to go, but I feel like I've played my 20s hand perfectly, in a sense that, yep, I got too big for my britches. It nearly killed everything. There were there were many serious consequences. There was a lot of pain, but there was some really serious consequences. And that's a lesson that I will always have with me. And I will probably fall prey to other things, me thinking that I'm better than I am in this category, that category, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Guilty as charged, I'm sure, all the way down the road. But I have this newfound sense of humility through that pain that I would have never had otherwise. And I'm so glad I have that going into my 30s now, because it's this is an awesome foundation that I can go build my adult life upon.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really, really, really grateful for that. So I would say biggest mistake I've made is thinking that I knew what I was doing when I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah. And I mean, I think you just explained it, but you know, that one is not for everyone. And be careful with the way you think that way, because you don't want to just get stuck in this doom spiral of like, man, I have nothing to offer.
Yeah, I fucking suck. Yeah.
But
yeah.
you always have something to offer, but it's not always your expertise.
Yeah, and this like, this just like, again, I feel like it's like a genuine dose of humility that I got, more genuine than any other. I feel like in the past, I've tried to. It's like false. There's a lot of false humility I've recognized
for everyone. I think that's something that everyone
people trying to play down, like, oh, or I'm more virtuous or whatever it is.
Yeah,
and I've been guilty of that. But this is like a real dose of you are not in control. This is way bigger than you and will always be way bigger than you. And you better not forget that, because if you forget that again, the consequences will be more dire. Yeah. And it's like, cool, check, got that lesson. And now let's really build something.
In this business currently, there's, 65 other people's lives at stake. So potentially.
Yeah.
Potentially. I'm not saying that to put unnecessary pressure on it, because everyone makes their own choices. But
no, it's not like they die, but it's like,
yeah, exactly. But
it's not life and death here. But it is people's livelihoods, and I do genuinely believe what we're doing is really, really, really important, and it only works what we're doing if the business is functional, if the business is healthy, if the business is profitable, if our team is where they need to be, and motivated and trained and organized in a particular fashion. Like the mission only works if the business works. You have to make the business work for everything else to work. And so, lesson learned. We're in a good spot now. We're not out of the woods, but I'm happy. I'm really happy with where we are.
Yeah. And I don't mean that to isolate or anything. All of us who work here make our own decision to work here.
There's no employment contracts.
And
so you can leave whenever.
I think most of the people, at least, and everyone that I talk to, is like, this is a good cause. But you are in that executive position, so some decisions are going to be a little bit harder.
It's not harder. It's just more, there's just more burden. Like, I can't there's no just like hanging out on the weekend, because even if I don't work, like, there is still that burden, and I signed up for it, and I love carrying it, and that's why I work out so much, so I can be yoked enough to carry it. I really love it. And so I don't look at it as a burden, but it is like a weight that sometimes, if you're not careful, tries to crush you into dust.
Yeah. And you take your time. You put it down sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. 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 And I have plenty of help. It's not like I'm the only one here. Like, people are like, how do you go to Australia for so long? It's like, because we have great leaders and a great team, and I don't have to worry about what's going on back home all the time. Okay.
Well, I think that was it. Questions?
All right. That's it. If you have questions, feedback, anything you want to hear discussed in the future, send it to dirttalk@buildwitt.com. We'd love to hear from you, and we will see you on the next one, or not. We won't see you on the next one. We won't hear from you on the next one, because this is a podcast. You only hear and see us. And so we'll look forward to you hearing and seeing us on the next one. Stay dirty, everybody.